Hello, hello, welcome to Quackalope, and today, what are we doing?
We are unboxing / playing.
Are we playing?
Vinyl. Yes,
I know
we are.
nothing about this game. This is a game that Jan just recently got in the mail. You
Yes.
do your own written reviews
Yes.
for Way Too Many Games.
Yeah.
And sooner or later, Quackalope, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah,
So this is a game that they were nice enough to go ahead and send you so that we could, so that you could open it. And I wanted to open it on camera.
Hey,
so
we're opening it together.
We're opening it together.
We're doing it together. Come on.
And take a look at what's inside this game. What is this game? Because I don't know anything about it.
Well, let me teach you. So, vinyl is actually a very interesting take in set collection. So have you ever been to a record store?
I have.
Okay, so that's the game. Imagine that you're going through a record
There we are.
store. No,
I've
really.
played this game before then.
Yes, we all have. Well, maybe millennials have. You know, the resurgence of vinyl records, which is actually what this is based from. It looks very retro, but it's actually based on the resurgence of record collecting. So essentially what's going on is you're going into the store and you're trying to build up your own collection, right? So it's very witty and it's entire conceptual.
And these expansion packs are actually other
Let's
CDs.
read back. I couldn't say a word.
Well, I mean, you can try again.
No, dude, we're going back.
Okay, we're
Don't
reversing.
force me.
It's been reversed. Continue.
Okay. Which is actually a really interesting concept for the game.
There's no way it got reversed.
I don't know what to do. What should I do? I don't know what to do.
Welcome to the rich and warm tones of vinyl, a game where players are moving throughout a record store collecting the very best records for their collection. Vinyl is designed by Eric Alvarado and can be played from 1 to 5 players. Players will use a combination of set collection, card drafting, worker placement, and hand management to build the best collection of vinyl records and win the game. Oh, surprise ending there.
So it's actually really interesting because the way that they took the set collection genre and just applied it to something that everyone understands is so witty. I really enjoyed that about it. And so you're going to be going through the game and there's going to be a game board. It's going to have all the records out and essentially different. You're going to use a worker placement mechanic to go to places, get the cards you need, make the largest collections that you can, and then cash those in for points.
Okay.
So it's very interesting.
This is a full-on set collection game.
Yeah.
A little bit of worker placement involved there in terms of like how you're actually getting hold of those sets.
And I would define this as a higher weight set collection game because
Okay.
usually set collection games tend to be very straightforward. The amount of variability in this box and all the awesome expansions.
I was just looking at the expansions they sent you. It looks like these expansions are actually just kind of like extra. It looks like these expansions are just extra genres of music, right?
Yeah.
Because we have awesome 80s, we have masters of metal. So much stuff that I won't be aware of because all I listen to is Coulter Wall and Shane Koizan.
Well, you gotta expand your boundaries.
I guess so.
Okay.
I guess so. I'm learning Queen.
You're learning Queen?
I'm learning Queen.
What do you mean you're learning Queen?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of Queen.
You don't learn
elements.
Queen, you live with Queen. Queen is part of you.
Okay.
You gotta have a good time all the time. What do you mean?
Clearly, this is the game for you and one that I still need to be educated on.
Yeah, actually, I was in a band for all my high school years, so I really dig this concept. This is made by Talent Strike Studios.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and give everyone a
Start breaking
preview.
into it.
Yeah,
Because I can't.
What's going on?
I don't know enough to say anything beyond what we've already said.
It's okay.
Like always, we will cut a seam in the side of the box
And be respectfully quiet.
and be respectfully quiet.
See,
You're always so formal during this moment.
because you gotta be formal. Quiet, yeah.
Did you fail the first seam?
I think so. I think I was too respectful. Wow, Jesse. Really? Respect your craft. Come on.
Finish it. Okay, we're getting a sneak peek. So, on the edge, it looks like we have some advertisements for some of their other games.
Yes.
King's Champion, Kingpins, Winterborn, and House Borgia.
Yeah, and actually, Winterborn is one of the biggest titles that they're going to be throwing out in 2019. They are very excited about Winterborn, and I'm very excited to know what it's going to be about.
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
We have a rule book here on the top. This will kind of show what we have here. Decent amount of text. The rule book is going to be about 24 pages long. Some nice artwork, illustrations. I won't know till we read it if it's a good rule book, but...
I already went through the rule book and got a good understanding of how the game is. I thought it was well done. There's a lot of illustrations, really explaining everything that's going on, so you're not left wanting for more information. Of course, we're going to go through our first playthrough today, so we'll understand how that comes in, but I thought it was a good rule book.
So I'm just going to take things out, because I know nothing about them. If you'll just tell me what these things are.
I'm glad to do so.
I'm going to start touching other things.
You're going to touch other things while I'm talking about this
Talk
thing?
about them. Ooh.
Oh my god. These are going to be our player boards.
Our nice cardboard tokens.
One of the things that
they punch out very cleanly.
Are you going to keep going? Oh my god. You're just jealous. You don't want me to take over.
Tell me about your...
I'll be jealous. Okay, so these are our player boards. So the way that the player boards are going to work is that you have two ways of playing the game. You're going to have what's recommended as your first playthrough, and then you can add already an expansion. One thing that Talon Strike Studios have done throughout the entire game is that they're giving a lot of variation. So you're able to play the game however you want to play it. And it's something I really enjoyed through their process of just bringing this to life.
Well, so there's 1 through 5 players, so there's some variability in that as well. But you also say that there's kind of expansions built into or variants built into this game.
If you go to the end of that rulebook, it'll start touching upon each of these expansions. Naturally, when I say expansion, I mean it's an expansion. It's not going to be part of the base game, but you will get a really good idea of what that expansion holds and what it's going to do to change the game. So you don't have to necessarily purchase
just new sets. These are they actually have some mechanics and stuff that add in. Interesting. I like that. I like that these aren't just upgrade packs.
No, and it's really interesting because each expansion that changes the game is actually super well themed to what it's having. So for example, in the Masters of Metal, you're going to be collecting memorabilia of a band. And another thing that you do in the base game, you're collecting like a big collection, and sometimes based on like the genre of the collection, etc., you can have varying amounts of records that could go from country to pop to whatever. In Masters of Metal, you're actually collecting a single band.
Okay.
Right? So it changes things up in a really refreshing way.
We will dive into these expansions in just a moment. Let's keep going through the core game here. I do have to say, so I've started punching these out. It looks like we have some construction to do. The cardboard is nice and thick, and it punches really well. So right away, the quality of the game feels nice.
Yeah, and this particular component is so neat.
What is it?
This is a record crate.
Okay.
So basically, all the records or all the cards, those are what the records are going to be held here, and you're going to be exploring just like you do in a record store.
So you kind of look through, seeing what you want.
No, not really, but it gives that feel.
It has that feel. Yeah. So here we have a lot more records. What's this big track here?
So again, remember when I say expansions? Yeah. Some of them are included in the game, others are not. Okay. So this is a top shelf expansion. You need the rest of the cards and components to do so, but we have Talon Strike Studio was nice enough to include it within the base game.
And we have a clearance bin there as well. It looks like, what are all these? These are clearly records.
Expansion stuff.
These are also going to be other variants. So there's a lot of like variability in this game.
Oh yeah, you can play this game in 1,000 different ways. It's very nice.
And then we have a salesperson action. Are these reference cards?
No, actually. So what happens is that in order to keep the game moving at all times, you're going to divide the big stack of records. You're going to divide it with these salesperson actions. So depending on the amount of players you're going to be using, these tiles may or may not be part of your game. So every time that you go through a certain amount of records, a person's going to be like, "Hey, do you need help?" And that's when they come in.
Okay.
So it's theming, but it also keeps the game moving forward.
Interesting. Here it looks like we have the player board.
Yeah. No, that is the play surface. Player boards are right here.
Sorry, I meant play surface. Yes. I meant the big board in the middle of the table. I will open this up in just a moment. Let's take a look at some baggies. I love baggies.
I always love baggies.
We have, looks like some guitar miniatures.
Yeah.
What are these for?
So you have the option. You can either use the patented Disco Meeples.
Just classic Meeples.
No. They're Disco Meeples.
Oh, they've got a...
Yeah, we'll show that in really nice B-roll. Yeah. They're really funny.
Okay, they're cute.
So, or you can use guitars, and they're all guitars that represent essentially like different genres of music.
I do have to say, right from right initially, the guitars are harder to identify than the meeples.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because the color coding just makes a difference. So if you're someone that likes to, prime and paint, even a simple wash would probably make those guitars better than the meeples. But right off the bat, I'd probably use them.
They did make that decision though. Yeah. Like in a recent, in one of the explanations for the video, they decided to make them all gray so that people can customize them.
I think that's fine, and I don't mind that at all. I do appreciate that they have the alternative for those. Yep. I really like to consider myself a painter. I just never have time to get to all the games I want, and so sometimes it can be frustrating if something should be painted to be as efficient or as like clear as possible, and I just can't get to it. Mm-hmm. This is a game I could get to the table, I could play with meeples until I get to priming and painting those guitars. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that. That was thoughtful of them. We have some cards, and we have a nice insert. This channel knows. Yeah, I mean this channel knows. Like if they have an insert, I'll compliment it. Yep. If they don't have an insert, I'll complain about it. It has a nice insert in here. It looks like it'll keep everything organized, and it looks like it has plenty of room for all of our expansion material.
It does.
That makes such a difference. It really does. So thank you for having a beautiful insert in here. I'm sure we'll show everything fully stacked and placed in here. Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at this large center board and these cards, and then we'll start diving into these expansion materials. Open that up.
Yeah, it's actually a really well done center board. I love the artwork on this.
Yeah, let's do it sideways here. Just so we can. Would it normally be played tall, like you had it laid out initially?
Yeah, okay. You can, but it's not a big deal.
So what's going on here on the board?
Yeah, so there's various areas, naturally, that we're going to be playing through. So each of these sectors represents different actions that you're going to be able to take with your disco meeples or your guitars. Okay. Essentially, like any worker placement, you will place your figures on these tabs here. Mm-hmm. And you'll be able to take that action. All actions are obviously going to vary throughout the board, but essentially it's all about being able to take cards, being able to put away cards, and being able to cash in your collections. One of the things that this game does in particular that's not necessarily like incredibly unique, but it works really well in this particular game, is the ability to bump other players. So let's say, Jesse, that you went through the magazine rack, and you wanted to get some stuff, and you did your action, now it's my turn. Mm-hmm. If I decided to go into the magazine rack, you would get bumped, and you get you get an action for free.
So it would just allow me to do something a little bit better or more efficient.
Well, I do the thing I wanted to do. Yeah. So a lot of worker placements, sometimes there's that interactivity where I blocked you, you can't do anything else here, too bad. Here, everyone is always incentivized to kind of like explore, and you're always giving something to other people.
You are giving a benefit to... Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I think we're actually playing on the expansion side. Let me flip this over really quick.
Now, are all these... Did they have to license the artwork for all these albums?
No, that's one of the things that I was super excited to talk about during this unboxing. Yeah. This is all... Well, most of it is all backer art.
Backer art?
Yes.
Interesting. Tell me how that works.
So one of the things that I'm super happy about this particular Kickstarter game is that it represents everything that Kickstarter was initially conceived for in terms of board gaming, right? So they people backed the campaign, everything went swimmingly well, and Talent Strike Studios was nice enough to invite backers to send out their own artwork so that they can put it into the game. So really?
So are these not real albums?
No, not at all.
These are just fan-made albums?
Not necessarily all of them, but a lot of them are. And there's also references to different people on the cards themselves and in the expansions.
They look good.
Exactly, that's the point.
They look good. And you said on these cards?
Yeah, and on these cards there's also references to different backers. I think it's mostly within the expansions, but I'm sure there's little caveats here and there as to what's going on here.
So this is a big... There's a lot of elements that are just a big thank you to those that helped bring this game
I really like that.
That's
nice. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's neat to be... Like, I'm not part of it, but for those that are part of this, that back this, that were following along from the beginning, it's neat to have a company say, hey, you all made this possible,
and we thank you for it. So yeah, I really
actually
like that.
Here's my take. If these aren't real albums, it'd be interesting to have real albums. If these were just designed by the studio, just straight up like, that's just the studio came up with all of these, I would like this game a lot less. Here's the reason. I don't like assets from the real world being used and mixed because just the art styles, everything's so different. And I wouldn't play this game because I love specific music titles. Like, I wouldn't play this game so I could collect all of the, like, Queen albums or DC Talk albums or anything like that. And if the studio themselves had just designed all of these, instead of outsourcing to backers, I don't feel like the art style or the diversity of art styles would look as realistic or feel quite as good, because there's just so many things here. I really, and I'm being I really like that each one of these is designed by someone else, by a fan, by someone who helped back it, by just people that wanted to have a hand in this game. It makes these better for me than if they'd been real albums.
Yeah, no, for 100%. Sure.
And that's just the way I view games like this. But this game I'd have a bad taste in my mouth if it was all 100% legit. Like, it's just how I view it.
No, and they invited everyone to do so, and it's great. So if you ever want to see the artwork in its full glory,
oh, nice!
It's right in the back. So you're holding an album as you're playing the game.
Yeah,
it's just
cool.
It's very witty.
Really cool.
It's all so nice. So there's just so many different things, and one of the other cool things,
they're well done, and they legitimately look
like albums
because you have so many people involved in them.
Yep. It's this is why I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, I like it.
It's very interesting. So let's talk a little bit about how the cards are organized.
You do that. I'm going to start opening these.
So the way that the cards are organized is that you have your records and then you have your magazines. So think about it like this. If you're at a record store, you're new to this hobby or you're new to this entire realm of music, right, or how to explore it, you're not really going to be aware of all the fancy records and the important, like, all the things you should be on the lookout for. So you have a magazine rack that essentially tells you, hey, maybe you should be looking out for this particular record because it's popular in this particular sector, right? So you get magazine cards that help you get and basically inform yourself as a player about records that exist. So that's how, so you use magazines in order to get records, and then the records become part of the collection. Okay. So you first have to go through collecting the right set of cards, and how does that work? Essentially, for example, we have a rock genre, we have a mint collector's edition, and then we have a limited edition record. So essentially you're trying to look for these symbols on the cards here. If you don't have the magazines, because that means that you've never heard of this album before, right? So if you don't have the magazines to pay for that record, you're not going to be able to take it. So, for example, right here, we have jazz.
Kind of like if you haven't done the research,
exactly,
you won't know what to get.
Exactly, which is another thing that I really like because it's very themed. It's, worker placements rarely have that level of theme and
I don't know
inversion.
If that's true.
Well, remember, a lot of worker placement games tend to have a lot of Euro stylings, and because Euro stylings don't ever really focus on that.
This has a slightly different theme, is what you're saying, and you like that different.
No, for sure, because it feels like you're in a record store.
I like worker placement. I don't want to throw them all underneath.
No. I love worker placement in general. I just say that this one in particular focuses on the theme so well.
I hear what you're saying.
So for example, I have these cards, but I want this record. This record is a jazz record from the 50s. Okay, so I don't have the cards in order to do that. So I don't know what this record is.
In order to get this, in order to be aware of this record even, you need to know jazz and you need to know some 50s music.
Yeah, so you're going to have to dig deep through the magazine rack in order to understand how valuable that record might be for you, right? But if you don't have that, you can't take it. So different records are going to be giving different genres and different types of symbols. So in order to explain that a little bit, let's put a few records out so that people can see them. So for example, there's plenty of symbology here, but it's all very straightforward because all cards share the symbology. But for example, I think this is stacked pretty much in the same realm. So let's grab a few different genres here and there. These would usually get sort of mixed up, not 100%. I think you may have rock. Yeah, you do. You have rock, and I have a little bit of rock there. So, these are a lot of symbols, but you'll notice that a lot of these symbols are shared throughout the cards. You got your jazz, you got your country music, you got rock, and you got pop. And so the next usual symbol that you'll see is kind of like the era of when that music was prepared. You know, you got your 50s, you got your 70s, you got your 60s, and it keeps going. After that, and these symbols are usually exactly in the same place every time. So it kind of helps out even more. Then you have if they're a mint collector's edition, if they're
that's
not
what the mint sign is.
yeah,
Okay.
mint.
Yeah.
And then the one that comes after that is a limited edition.
Okay.
So it's all about rarity. It's all about the condition of the record. You're trying to look for the best aspects of that particular album you're collecting. So you'll use the magazine racks in order to cash in those cards, right? So, and that's kind of how it works. So let's see if we have, per chance. We don't have enough yet to get a card, but that's how the magazine cards work.
But you're a 70s away from getting this one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. We only need a 70s card in order to get Smooch, the brain teaser. And that's how it works. And you can use as many magazine rack cards as you can.
Is the set collection, so retro down here, is that
those
the set
are publishers.
collection? Those are publishers?
Yep, and
How do
those,
they...
that's an expansion.
That's an expansion?
But that's an included expansion in the box.
Okay, and then early decade, late decade, those are also possibly expansion
I think so.
symbols? And then is this victory points? What is this symbol down here?
Yes,
Okay.
it is victory points. So essentially, once you start collecting records, let's move this a little bit to the side so it's not as confusing. So this is your player board, right? So when you have your player board, you're going to start seeing here how albums are distributed immediately from the box, right? And it's going to essentially tell you have two areas. You have your active collection that's going to be on your right-hand side. These are the albums that you're slowly collecting throughout. You can only have a max of 5.
These are like the ones you're putting on your shelf.
Yes, exactly. And then you're going to have your layaway and your retired collection. So retired collections are banked victory points.
You've sold those, or you've... I guess sold wouldn't be the right, because if you're collecting,
no, it's
not
like
selling them off.
Imagine that you're done.
Yeah.
Like this particular collection, you're done. It's perfect. I'm never gonna touch it again.
satisfied.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's how you bank it.
Okay.
And then you have your layaways. That's pretty essentially.
It's like a storage unit.
Exactly.
It's like a cardboard box.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like I'm keeping it here. I can't use it right now, but I'm gonna use it later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might pull this out.
And so that's essentially how the board works.
Okay.
When you flip it, this is where publishers come in.
Okay.
So it's another like element of set collection. If you have more of these symbols, you get more points by the end. Okay, so it gives you a different incentive of different symbols to kind of look out for throughout the cards. And so, were you able to open up any of those expansions?
I opened up one.
Give it here.
I didn't start messing with it.
Yeah. So as I said, there's a lot going on in the board. And it's all very intuitive. It's pretty simple to understand. So you went for
So let's start. Just these are gonna have. We don't need to open every single pack of cards or anything like that because we'll have nice B-roll of each one as well. Go ahead and pull things out and talk about what each one of these expansions are gonna do to the game.
Yeah. So I'll do my very best. Of course, I've mostly read through the initial rule book.
Sure.
I do have a kind of general understanding of each of the expansions. So one of the things that you do I think essentially you substitute albums, or you're able to mix and match albums. You can really make the game into whatever you want, but there is a recommended style of play. So for example, if you play with Awesome 80s, or you play with British Invasion, or you play with the Masters of Metal,
so it's
recommended that you focus on those cards.
Go ahead and read off the back of that, because each one gives a nice little summary.
Oh, it does. So, Totally Awesome 80s. The all-new
Just turn
Awesome
into
80s...
a radio broadcast. Totally Awesome 80s.
Hey, I got range, baby. I got range. So, the all-new Awesome 80s expansion is just what music lovers crave. Take your albums and trade them in for higher quality albums, thereby increasing the value of your collection. With all new genres, the Awesome 80s will play differently than other versions of vinyl. Nostalgia and smooth gameplay combines for a blockbuster expansion that music lovers will want in their collection.
The best of Britain invades the USA with bands that topped the charts for decades. In this new expansion, you must collect 45s and use the listening booth to increase your knowledge and value of your albums. Keep your 45s and increase your overall collections. Don't miss this action-packed expansion. I have no idea what that just said.
It's all music terminology, friend.
What's a 45?
It's a type of album.
Okay.
It's a type of album that has different sounds, etc.
Okay.
And as you noticed, every expansion brings a little bit of a different flavor to that base game, and it adds more to it. So you don't necessarily need the expansion, of course, like any other good game, you don't need the expansion in order to really enjoy it. But if you're a big fan of vinyl, there's no reason why you wouldn't want to kind of like delve a little bit deeper into some of those mechanics. Sure. There are 2 expansions though that I do think that veteran players definitely want.
Okay.
Because for example, Awesome 80s, British Invasion, and Masters of Metal, they vary out the base gameplay.
Those are content expansions.
Exactly, content expansions. However, you do have gameplay expansions that I do think help the game. And those are the top shelf expansion.
That's what I just opened here.
Yep, and you also have, it's in a small baggie right here.
In this Kickstarter exclusive expansion, players can chase the super rare top shelf albums to add to their collections. Top shelf albums will provide an extra boost of power to players with a one-time use ability. Do not miss the chance to add another layer to the fantastic game of vinyl. So, important note, this seems like it's an interesting expansion. It's one that you think adds a
it does add mechanic.
It does add a mechanic to the game. Yep. That being said, it does sound like from the back of this box, this is a Kickstarter exclusive expansion.
Yeah.
So if you like this game a lot and you want to get your hands on it, you might want to either find someone who's backed the Kickstarter version or look out for most retailers end up opening up some Kickstarter exclusive content once they've already delivered kind of all their content.
And it's not necessarily that it's never going to be available. It's just the type of thing where the publisher select where it goes. It's usually going to be a con item, right?
Yeah.
But it's one of these things where, you know, the developers did so much to try and appease backers and make them happy. So I do feel that this is more in the intent of, hey, this is something I want to do for you because we feel so appreciative of what you've done.
It's like any Kickstarter exclusive content. If you like this game a lot, you should be able to get your hands on it.
True.
You just will have to be more purposeful about doing so.
Yep.
That's just the case. You know.
And so the other I'm not sure if this is a Kickstarter exclusive expansion, but it's definitely one that I think is really neat, is the Publisher's expansion. These essentially start giving you special player powers too.
Okay.
So these are the gameplay base game mechanic expansions, while you have the context expansions here.
So in the box itself, we have the core game. We have gameplay expanded content in the core box.
Yes, from what I understand.
Change up the gameplay.
Yep.
We have two potentially Kickstarter exclusive expansions that add just a little bit more depth or complexity. So if you really like this game and you want to add that extra layer for a little bit of a deeper gaming experience, even though it's already fairly heavy, or at least midweight. Since it's already fairly midweight, these are things you might want to seek out if this is your style of game. And then along with that, we have 3 full content only expansions
that change the game completely also. In terms of like what you're collecting.
In terms of what you're collecting. Yeah. They don't change the full, like, they don't change the game.
Yeah, well, you're focusing on different things.
Yeah. So the back of this, Masters of Metal. Fans of metal, look no farther. This expansion is for you. The 6 greatest metal bands of all time are included in this fantastic expansion. You can earn and collect your favorite band swag, add on to your collections, and increase the value of your records. Hit the whammy bar and join in the fun.
Yeah.
So, do these actually have? Are these still fan created? Artists and albums?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm not sure if. Again, when I say fan created, I'm not sure if every single card is fan created, but I know that they included a lot of fan artwork in here. It's one of the things that they're very proud of. I also really like. I appreciate that.
No, I do too. Interesting. What else should we cover on this game? Is this the?
I think I want to play it. Do you want to play it? I would love to play it.
Right now? Well, we just unboxed it, so we have to round out this video.
Okay.
Well, because we don't want to do a full unboxing and then a full gameplay.
No, that's what I meant. Just jump into it.
Yeah, but we want 2 separate videos.
You do?
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna do it in a single video.
No, not if we're doing a full unboxing.
I didn't think we would be doing a full unboxing.
Well, we have.
Have we?
This was a full unboxing.
Well, I think we've pretty much touched on all the most important points. Like, for example, we have things like the records. These are essentially the pieces that you're going to start getting once you cash in your collections.
We'll have a game board set up.
Exactly.
I've been showing B-roll of everything being really nice.
From the game itself, I think we're pretty much done.
It seems interesting. We're going to sit down and play it?
I would love to. Would you like to?
We can figure it out. As long as you know this rule book already.
I do.
That was confident.
No, I do, I swear.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us for this unboxing video of Vinyl by
Talon Strike Studios.
And thank you, Talon Strikes, for sending Jan a copy of this game because it allowed him to come over and spend more time with me. Aww. Whatever the case, hopefully you guys got some information from this unboxing video. The game seems interesting. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but I know you're super excited about it. We're going to sit down and actually do a gameplay session of it here in just a moment, so keep your eyes out on the channel for that. Whatever you do, if you've made it to this point in the video, once I hit 2,000 subscribers, I will never have Jan on the show again. So that's your target. Work there. Get there, folks.
I'll miss you.
Cut him from the program.
I'll miss you so much.
All jokes aside, seriously, I put out new videos every single week, some of which include characters like this, some of which are just me talking in a lonely room to the camera, which is why I need your help, love, and support. Without your affection, I can't do this. Hey guys.
What's that song that goes in the puppy videos?
I don't know. I feel like I'm being ridiculous, though. Let's end this video, Jan. Whatever, guys. Remember to do the important thing. Get out and play some games. We'll see you the next time.
Rock on.
That's not how my videos end.
It's appropriate to the game.
See you
What
guys.
do you mean?